The immortal John Hancock here, and today I'm doing a product review of Hyperkin's HDTV cable for the TurboGrafx-16. Now recently I did a cable for the TurboGrafx that does something close to what this is advertising, and I'm going to see if this is any better or does it perform the same. Let's check it out. Here it is. Here's the box. It does have an aspect ratio switch. Really like having that physical button on the actual cable. It has a 7-foot extension, so it's got a nice reach. Let's go ahead and open this bad boy up. All right. All right. Open this up here. All right, once you open this up, you get a very similar box, just like the Levelhike adapter, only this one says Hyperkin on it. And it does have the 43169 switch right there. And if you also notice, there's also an additional power source that's needed to run this cable. Now, it doesn't come with a wall plug, but this is a long enough cable where you can reach a wall outlet, and if you have a spare plug lying around, especially for one like an iPhone, you can probably use that. And there you go. I want to show how to properly install this cable to your TurboGrafx-16. Here's my unit, and you may not have this back piece to your TurboGrafx-16 still. That's okay, but you do have to pop it off to install this cable. Now, right here, this is very delicate. There's several pins exposed. You have to be very careful when you insert this cable into there. You have to make sure that you don't bend any of the pins. So there is the back of the TurboGrafx-16, and here is the cable. And you have to, it only goes one way. So you have to make sure, and you have to make sure it does that. And it goes in just like so. And there you go. Take the other side, plug that into your TV. Now, you have to make sure that you have the additional cable plugged into the box here, and that running to a USB or using a wall plug, plugging that in, and then you're good to go. All right, in today's video, I'm going to be comparing Hyperkin's HDTV cable for the TurboGrafx against two other alternatives around the same price. I covered this in a previous video, and I'm going to look at this and compare it with TurboGrafx AV adapter, another product by Hyperkin. And I did a previous video talking about this, and this is the Levelhike HDMI adapter for the TurboGrafx. So I want to see the big difference, or is there a big difference between these two, and how big of a difference it is between the TurboGrafx AV adapter. In today's video, I'm going to be using these 4 games to compare the differences between the cables. Now, in my previous Levelhike video, there was some abnormalities using these 4 games, demonstrating the Levelhike's capability of displaying the TurboGrafx. On Alien Crush, there was a slight dark background. And on Keith Courage and Alpha Zones, it had a really bright hue. And so I'm going to see if the same abnormalities appear using TurboGrafx HDTV cable for the TurboGrafx. Let's check it out. So I'm going to be comparing first the AV adapter to Hyperkin on Bonk's Adventure. Great game, and it looks great. The Hyperkin cable really shows the detail and makes this game really pop. You know, the AV adapter was good back in the day, or if you're playing on a CRT, but if you're hooking this up to an HDTV, this modern adapter is the way to go. Awesome game. So then going and comparing it to the Levelhike versus the Hyperkin, this is actually the biggest difference. These cables were really close in comparison testing all the games today. The only difference, the major difference that I saw was a little bit in the ground. As you can see here, the Levelhike adapter is a little bit brighter in color on the brown earth, But that's about it. You know, it's pretty close. These cables perform pretty close to each other, as I'm going to show in the other games. All right, blazing lasers, and going back to the AV adapter versus Hyperkin. There is some games that look a little bit darker, and I don't know what that's about, but you know, the Hyperkin cable overall looks way better than the AV adapter. I definitely recommend it. You know, everything from letters to just detail, it really looks nice on an HDTV. Tried it on a couple different television screens. It looked great. And comparing it to the Levelhike, pretty close here. It's hard to tell which one's better. You know, I wanted to compare different games, and you know, Blazing Lasers being such a classic shooter, you know, I wanted to show this. It's a fast, action-packed game, and so the comparison between these two cables is pretty close. It was hard for me to, like, if I was to pick one over another, it's really close. And so wanted to show this game. I know it's very popular. And going to the classic pack-in, Keith Courage and Alpha Zones, you know, versus the AV adapter, no comparison. You know, the Hyperkin cable just looks better even on the title screen. And I don't know what it is about this game, but it's really bright. I don't know if that's kind of by default, but like the backgrounds and everything, the hue just seems really bright to me. And it could be just me, but you know, the AV adapter looks really washed out versus the Hyperkin, which might be just a little bit too bright. Now versus the Levelhike, which I did mention that it seemed ultra bright in the hue playing this game. But you know, you be the judge of this. You know, I noticed that the Levelhike is actually brighter than Hyperkin, so Hyperkin kind of toned it down just a little bit, just a smidge. You know, on this I would give the nod to the Hyperkin because I really noticed it on the Levelhike playing on my HDTV. It was like ultra bright, and it may be too bright. So the Hyperkin kind of toning it down looks good. Alien Crush is where the comparisons between AV adapter and Hyperkin get pretty interesting. It is a lot darker on the Hyperkin versus an AV adapter. You can't see the background of this pinball board, and so that's a little disappointing because, you know, the background on this is pretty cool, and I don't know why it's so dark on the Hyperkin. So I do need to note that is an issue. I don't know if that's a bug or something that can be fixed, but it's there. And so the same thing appeared on the Levelhike. So both the Levelhike and the Hyperkin. The Levelhike just seems a tidbit brighter, but as you can see, both backgrounds on this are dark. The detail of this awesome pinball game are missing in the background. So that is an issue. I do notice that the Levelhike is a smidge brighter, not too much, but I'm actually noticing it just a little bit. But you be the judge. Which one looks better to you? I'd love to hear in the comments below. Thank you for watching. These cables were so close in performance that I decided to open up each of these cables to see if inside the chipset was similar. On the right hand side, this is Levelhike's board. And I'm not an electronics expert, but as you can see there, it looks like a little heat sink, a little board there. And I wanted to compare it to Hyperkin's. And as you can see, pretty close. Slight differences. You know, the Levelhike you can actually is a two-part cable. And so this is pretty close. And so there is slight differences. Electronics experts out there, you decide. Again, this is the Hyperkin in this hand, this is Levelhike in this hand, and I think it's going to be available Friday. The price is around 30 bucks. Check Amazon, it should be available soon. And so there you have it. Comment below, is this something you're interested in? This might be an alternative for people waiting for the TurboGrafx Mini. You can play your TurboGrafx-16 now on a modern television, and it looks great. It wasn't perfect. There was a couple games that were dark or ultra bright, but overall, I thought the performance was decent, and there you go. Thank you so much for your ongoing viewership of my channel. It is most appreciated. Thank you for the support. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. This is the immortal John Hancock. You take care.